What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Khabib teases Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria. Khabib Nurmagomedov might have shot down a fight between Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria while talking to Adam Zubairayev earlier in the week, saying that the fight is a lose-lose situation for the champion. But now, the Eagle seems to be teasing fans with a potential Makhachev-Topuria matchup. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video to help support the channel. In a post on his Instagram story, the former lightweight champ posted a picture of a bull along with a caption that one user translated to, "The bull is coming." However, another user indicated that the post translates to, "He's coming strong." Although Topuria might have given up the El Matador nickname, and there seems to be some conflicting information on the translations, the post from Khabib has left fans wondering whether something has changed and now he's on board with the former featherweight champion getting an immediate crack at the title. The way Mattel's Gamrot sees things, even if Topuria does get an immediate title fight at 155, he has no shot of getting the W. During an interview with MMA Junkie this week, he explained why he feels like Makhachev will walk through La Leyenda. Topuria is a small guy, Islam is a really big guy, and I don't think that Topuria has a chance against him. You know, if you want to fight with Islam, you have to be a big guy, similar like him, because he's good everywhere. But if your body is smaller than his, you don't have a chance for sure. Of course, as fans have pointed out, Makhachev had an extremely competitive fight with Alexander Volkanovski the first time around, and Volk doesn't exactly stand eye to eye with the lightweight champ. Khamzat Chimaev teases UFC fight with Dricus du Plessis. Earlier today on social media, Khamzat released this picture of him and DDP, which could be hinting that their fight is either finalized or about to be finalized in the coming days. Nothing is official yet. On top of that, Khamzat released training footage on social media as well. Here's the clip. Netflix CEO breaks silence on UFC deal. With the UFC's exclusive negotiating period with ESPN now behind us, there's been tons of talk surrounding the possibility of the promotion signing a deal with Netflix. As Dana White revealed while speaking with members of the press after the Volkanovski-Lopez card, he'd even be willing to do away with the pay-per-view model as part of the UFC's next media rights deal. According to Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos, however, it sounds like live sports aren't a big priority for the company. MMA Fighting's Damon Martin quoted Sarandos as saying, "Our live event strategy is unchanged. We remain really focused on the big breakthrough events. Our audiences love them. Live is a relatively small part of our content spread." Of course, as many fans pointed out in the replies, Sarandos might just be negotiating publicly and downplaying Netflix's interest as a negotiation tactic. Considering the UFC's deal with ESPN expires at the end of the year, the clock is ticking. Merab Dvalishvili demonstrates how he'll finish Sean O'Malley. When Merab Dvalishvili's out in the wild, there's no telling what the bantamweight champion will get himself into. Whether he's diving into a frozen lake, climbing up rocky surfaces to jump into the ocean, or training atop a mountain, the machine manages to keep fans on the edge of their seats, even when he's not inside the octagon. Ahead of his upcoming rematch with Sean O'Malley at UFC 316, Dvalishvili showed fans on Instagram exactly how he plans to finish Sugar Sean this time around, using a tree stump as a prop. The champion then proceeded to use a jumping back kick to knock the stump down, before finishing it off with a series of ground and pound strikes and a curb stomp for good measure. Along with the video, he wrote, "Prediction for June 7th. Buy pay-per-view and see it happen."
This is Sean, like 6 feet tall, like a tree, skinny tall guy, and this is just machine, you know? And I'm gonna just go around, and BAM! Easy bro, and he's going down, and bah, 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 bah. That's it, game over, and still, where is my butt? Dana White, please. I'm just kidding.
Heading into the rematch, Dvalishvili has said that he plans on testing his striking when the two share the cage, and he envisions a totally different fight from their Noche UFC clash last year. Whether or not he can make it 2-0 against O'Malley, only time will tell. While we're on the topic of UFC 316, it looks like the card got another banger. It was revealed today that Vicente Luque will fight Kevin Holland at UFC 316. Kevin Holland has already fought twice this year, and this will be his third fight in 2025. What are your thoughts on this fight? Let us know down in the comments below. Dana White releases 4 fighters from the UFC. Amid an off week for the UFC leading up to the Fight Night card in Kansas City next weekend, Dana White and the UFC have parted ways with a number of fighters. First up, we got Sung Woo Choi, who's fresh off a loss to Kevin Vallejos in March that dropped his UFC record to 4-7 overall and 1-4 over his last 5. The UFC also reportedly parted ways with Gabriel Miranda, who's fresh off a first-round loss to Jamal Emmers at the end of March, which marked his second loss in a row. During his stint with the UFC, he posted a 1-3 record, with his lone win coming against Shane Young in 2023. Next up, we got Diana Belbita, who announced after her loss to Diane Barboza earlier this month that she was retiring from MMA, despite being just 28 years old. During her time with the UFC, Belbita put together a 2-6 record with the promotion, while ending her career on a 3-fight losing streak. And last but not least, we got former one championship fighter Istela Nunes, who dropped a decision to Loma Lookboonmee earlier this month. After signing with the UFC in 2019 and making her debut in 2021, Nunes went winless inside the octagon, going 0-5 before her release. Israel Adesanya confirms he'll fight again in the UFC. Last week, when City kickboxing coach Eugene Berriman was asked about Israel Adesanya's future following his loss to Nasruddin Imavov, Berriman said that he wasn't so sure what the future holds for the last stylebender. But for right now, Izzy's off doing Izzy. Now, in a new interview with Submission Radio, in the wake of Alexander Volkanovski's big victory this past weekend, Eugene Berriman revealed that Izzy, who was in attendance in Miami, he told him he wants to fight again. Although the former champion's in America taking some time off to enjoy himself, it sounds like he'll fight again. However, Berriman isn't ready to discuss potential opponents. The one brief conversation that he had with me in the changing room at Volk's, he said, "Look man, I think I'm gonna fight again." So those are the conversations we're having, like, yeah, I wanna fight again. I wanna fight again. I think I'm ready to fight again. We're having conversations about whether he should fight again, or whether he feels like he should, or he has the feeling that he wants to. Whether he has the hunger inside, and that's the conversations we're having. So to be talking about, am I fighting this or that? No, you got to bring it back a level. While Izzy might be in the twilight years of his career, watching Volk reclaim the belt might have given him some added motivation to return to action and snap his 3-fight skid. Arman Tsarukyan talks about Dan Hooker. After Arman Tsarukyan wound up withdrawing from his UFC 311 fight against lightweight champion Islam Makhachev in January, the Hangman fired off some verbal jabs during an appearance on Submission Radio, which prompted a back and forth between the two on social media. And it escalated once Hooker was forced out of his UFC 313 fight against Justin Gaethje. During an appearance on the Jackson podcast this week, Tsarukyan poured fuel on the metaphorical fire, reigniting the beef while taking some shots at Hooker.
Did something happen that we don't know between you and Dan Hooker?
No, it's just
that's it.
Yeah. But because I know when we're gonna be in one room, he's gonna shut up and just listen me. Because I know like these people, they just can talk on the internet, but when they one-on-one, they scared. Like,
how do you see a fight between you and Dan Hooker going?
I'm going there to play, just easy money. But if I beat him, like, it no makes sense fight for me. Yeah. I don't need money right now, I need belt. If I beat him, people say you beat like a top 10 or I don't know what's his number. It's no make sense fight. He's not contender. He never beat like a good fighters. He never be on the top 5.
While there's been no official word yet on when Hooker will be back in action, Eugene Berriman revealed during his appearance on Submission Radio this week that Hooker breaking his hand and being forced out of the Justin Gaethje fight was a blessing in disguise. Put it this way, the fact that he broke his hand that bad was a bit of a godsend, in my opinion. Like, Dan was not ready to fight, but Dan was going to fight anyway. And the real pity in that is that for the first time in his career, Dan had been trying to be a little bit smarter about the choices that he makes in terms of his fights and the amount of notice he has and all of this. And then he got this fight and he just wasn't ready, and he's going to do it anyway. But then he broke his hand. It's a little bit of a godsend. Dan was having a baby at a certain time. So when you're having a baby, there's a certain period that you want to be there for the baby. And so we had blocked that out. Dan knew he couldn't fight between this and this time. And then all of a sudden, boom, 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 we're fighting one of the most dangerous guys. Although nothing's been finalized yet, Hooker has said that he hopes to fight on the International Fight Week card this summer. Aaron Pico sends a warning to the UFC roster. After signing with the UFC, Aaron Pico has put the featherweight division on notice. The decorated grappler, who finished second at the US Olympic team trials in 2016, appeared on Henry Cejudo and Kamaru Usman's Pound for Pound show this week to discuss the future. As he revealed, he's confident that by the end of the year, he'll have UFC gold wrapped around his waist.
I want to be a UFC champion by 2026.
Pinpoint, what guys do you want prior to fighting for the title? I mean, who would it be?
They offered me Movsar. So I look at Movsar and I said, well, who did he fight last? He fought Aljamain Sterling. Who was he supposed to fight? I heard Brian Ortega. So I'm like, okay, well, give me a Brian Ortega or give me an Aljamain Sterling. I have no axe to grind with like any of these UFC guys. Aljamain, Ortega, let's go if you guys are ready to fight.
Paint real quick your roadmap to the title.
I wrote down a goal, and I wrote this down maybe 8-9 months ago. I said I want to be a UFC champion by 2026. 26. I believe I can really do that. They give me the fight, I go on there and do my job, go straight to the title. I want the title. I will go and get a good knockout. Well, why not fight for the title?
While the UFC has not announced a date or an opponent for Pico's debut, and a fight with Movsar Evloev didn't come to fruition, Pico has plenty of opponents on his radar. Of course, considering Pico is unranked, there's no telling whether Sterling, who's ranked 9th, or Ortega, who's ranked 7th, will be interested in throwing down. Joe Rogan gets DMs leaked. Oscar De La Hoya recently leaked Joe Rogan's DMs after Joe apparently talked trash about Oscar on his podcast. This is one of the things Rogan called out Oscar for.
Why has Oscar De La Hoya got fake abs? Have you seen that?
No, wait, does he?
Bro,
Really?
Oscar De La Hoya's got some fake abs.
Like implants?
Yeah, something's going on, man. Oscar De La Hoya didn't have abs throughout his boxing career. Look at him now.
Get the heck out of here.
Bro, what's going on there? Either he's got some fake abs or he's going semaglutide. One or the other. But the thing is, like, his abs don't match his chest or his arms.
That's weird.
Look how defined his abs are. Like, look, even when he's sitting there, he's like the Liver King. Like, look at this here. They're like fully tight. It's like he's not that low body fat. This is why it's confusing. If you like look at his body, like his arms and his shoulders, when a guy has abs like that, generally they're really shredded.
And before we continue, we have a favor to ask. Help us reach 200,000 subscribers on MMA Zone by subscribing and turning on notifications for daily MMA content. Seriously, we rarely miss a day. He went into Rogan's DMs and pressed him about his comments, and in response, Joe said, "I've talked about you many times on the show, and I wish the conversation had steered more to your fighting, of which I was a huge fan. Anyway, my apologies if I offended you. We were just talking." And in response to the older text I missed, "Sure, I'd love to have you on the podcast." Oscar responded to Joe and said, "Look bro, thank you for the apology and respect, but there's no reason to bring up fishnets and fake abs. There's so much good I'm doing in the sport, and you all ignore it. Thanks for the invite. Would love to talk about anything on the show. Let's get it scheduled." He then followed up with Joe a month later and said, "My man, let's make history and have me on your show. Lots and lots of crazy, smart, informative to talk about." Joe read the message but didn't respond after. So Oscar decided to IG story the messages and tagged him saying, "Where you at, brother? What are your thoughts on Oscar leaking direct messages with Joe Rogan?"